I was gonna watch that. Is that Derek Rama?
All right, everybody. We are coming at you live on DentonRadio.com and Facebook with Free Beer Fridays. Here from the Discover Denton Welcome Center every single Friday, we bring you some amazing brewers from all over North Texas, beer that you can find here in Denton, where we've got this amazing beer culture. We're passing out free samples in the Discover Denton Welcome Center. You're meeting the brewers here online. And you are got an after party over at the Bearded Monk where you can hang out with the brewers and get a little bit more of that beer that you've been sampling. So tonight we have got the one, the only, the infamous Audacity Brew House in the house. How you doing, guys?
We're doing great.
We're good. We're good, man.
What did I do to be infamous again? Oh, we can't say that on air. We got the rules.
Oh,
We got the rules.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. For the people watching for the first time, let's go ahead and do introductions one at a time. So we'll start right here.
All right, my name's Doug. I do a lot of mopping, a lot of water wrangling in the back, and every once in a while drink some beer.
Very nice.
I'm Scott. I do a lot of quality control up front. Sales, marketing, drinking,
I can do
partying.
it. Perfect.
That's my things.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that at
Yeah.
all. Yeah.
And then joining us along with Audacity, we have...
I'm Ben, owner of the Bearded Monk.
We do this in partnership with the Bearded Monk every Friday. And every beer that you see us talking about here, you can get over there as soon as this sucker's over with. So make sure you check it on out. Then your host, I'm only here temporarily, your host that will be taking this show on, Miss Robbins.
I am Miss Robin. I will be the beer girl for Free Beer Fridays every single Friday throughout the year. So
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. Well, guys, Audacity was really the first true brew house in Denton, right?
Yes.
I mean, the first true
To actually
functioning.
be
I mean, there
making
were
some
a
beer
lot of,
here, yeah.
There were a lot of people that were doing beer and things like that. But I feel like you guys really got to kind of punch through that wall of the first big, really functioning brew house in town. Is that fair to say?
I think that a lot of people that love this town have been trying to do some cool stuff with beer here for a long time.
True.
A lot of people doing it in different ways, and we got to be the first ones to actually have a brew kettle, in Denton,
Yeah.
and actually making some beer here and getting a place where people can come in Denton, see how it's made, talk with us, drink some beers, see what a tap room's like. So
Cool.
yeah.
Awesome. Because I feel like the whole craft beer or maybe even artisanal beer, I guess is fair to say, has been a part of the Denton thing forever, like you said. And there's this huge culture of it here. And it's been so cool to be able to work with you guys where we can connect more and more people to it, to take tours and talk to y'all and really learn the process of this whole thing. It's been so cool to see. And every time I turn around, I feel like we've got more and more and more and more and more beer coming this way. And it's just been a really cool thing to see.
It's absolutely a snowball. It's phenomenal, This is a town that kind of deserves almost a dozen breweries. It's
True.
That's the people here are so cool. They really need that, and
Yeah.
so to kind of be part of what starts that and get that going. And I think in the next year you're going to see a lot of cool stuff happening.
Awesome. So give us the story. What was the origin of Audacity?
So you were talking about how you feel like it's been here forever, and I'll tell you that that's not the case. 'Cause, I don't know. I won't speak for Ben, but I might be the oldest person in the room. I've been in Denton for quite a while, and when I left Denton to go to Colorado, it was 2009-ish, and there was no Bearded Monk, there was no East Side, there was no Harvest House. You could go to a handful of places and have a couple of beers. If you were feeling crazy, you might try a Blue Moon or something that night. This didn't exist, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And when I moved to Fort Collins, Colorado, it was eye-opening, and my job there was to manage a bar. I was supposed to manage a bar, which I had done before, but not in Colorado. And I get there, and instead of 6 tap handles on the wall, we have 32. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? 'Cause, how many Bud Light handles do we need? And they're like, oh, no, you've got New Belgium, you've got Odell's, and you've got Fort Collins Brewery, you've got all these places. And, we don't serve any of these macro beers. This is all craft beer. And I was like, oh man, I need to educate myself. So I started this series of, every Saturday, which was the thing to do in Fort Collins, is you go to the breweries and you go check them out. And, there were 15
Yeah.
in a town of 120,000 people. And so I'm, hanging out with my friends, and every Saturday we go see 4 or 5 of them, and you experiment with all these beers, and you're not really drinking to get drunk. You're drinking to kind of find yourself in this vast array of different styles of beers. And I got introduced to flights, and you can drink beer 3 or 4 ounces at a time to sample everything and try to figure out what you like. And it was eye-opening, and I loved it, and there was a whole culture around it, and everyone in Fort Collins, that's what you did, and if you didn't do it, you weren't cool, and nobody liked you. And, I was like, how do we do this and back home, And I loved Colorado, but it always felt like I was on an extended vacation, and Denton was home, and I always, wanted to come back, and, how do we do this at home? And, when me and Doug sat down and I got him drunk enough to quit his job and move to Texas, the discussion was, what we have to do is build the first one. And if you can build the first one, and, people had been building things already, Bars, Oak Street maybe kind of started this wave, it was there, and it was waiting to happen, and you just got to build the first brewery, and then things are going to come. And I think what people will see is, while there's one right now, I feel super confident that this time next year there will be 4.
Right.
And the next year there might be 8. I don't know where you go, but it is a snowball effect, and that's kind of how it started with us. Was we just met each other kind of by chance, and I knew how to brew amateur level in the garage. He knew how to brew professionally, and we decided, let's do it. And open the first one and see what happens, and watch the town grow. And it's awesome to see what's happened since we've opened, just as new as we are. And since then, you've already, West Oak Coffee and Bearded Monk and Harvest House. And I'm leaving places out, I know, but just the things that have happened in the 2 years since we've been around, and then the things that are going to happen in the next year to 2 years are going to be awesome.
That's amazing, man.
Well, and you're a true mixologist or beer artist or what. I don't know exactly what the term is, but you've officially studied this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I went out to UC Davis at one point and studied not just how to make it, but the flavors behind it, the history of it, the origins of it. It's quite a fun thing to study. You know, I feel like if more people knew you could study that, there'd be a lot more brewers out there. But, what it's really given me the chance is, with that kind of a palate and that knowledge for the ingredients, you can look around locally and you can start saying, okay, German beers are pretty good, but what can we do to make a Texas beer, and then what can we do to make a Denton beer? Yeah. Look at, what are the influences here, what are the flavors around here, and start, mingling those in. And that's where that mixologist part comes in. Texas has, mesquites and a lot of that barbecue. I bet I can put that into a beer, and I may be the only one drinking it, but I really like that beer.
Right. Well, and I think there's a lot of artistry behind beer making that not a lot of people necessarily know about. That's part of one of the reasons why we wanted to make this show. There's so much passion that goes behind it, and so many people really dive into the art of beer.
I'll tell you about the art is I've always wanted to be an artist, okay? But I can't draw. I can't paint. I really, I had to play drums. That tells you about my musical ability there.
Hey, drummers are about your punctuality, too.
So, basically, I failed in any form of art. And, I'm definitely more of a science guy, and I think beer is this great outlet where if you are a science-minded person, you can use that science to kind of create a different type of art, and that's definitely been my outlet. And something I love is that balance. Some brews you make are purely technical, and, it's 98% science, and other ones you're just winging it, and it's 98% art, and some balance in between. And that's definitely the fun part of the job.
Well, I remember one of the first things you ever said to me was somebody introduced you to me as the beer guy, the beer artist, whatever. And I shake your hand, and you said, "Yeah, love beer, make beer, drink beer. Sometimes I share it." And it was just so perfect. It was great. So I'd be interested to hear from Ben, because you really get to to hear from, I mean, you get to see all of these different beer outlets really coming together as one and kind of a part of this culture as it grows and grows and grows and grows, because you guys are the ones that make it. And of course, you could sell it through, but then Ben comes along and things like Oak Street Draft House come along, Eastside come along, where everybody's really beginning to appreciate these artisanal beers. How do you feel just in the last few years you've seen that develop?
I feel really good. Really good. I'm not a big fan of the macro stuff, Bud, Miller, Coors. You could drink a glass of water and get the same, and it's a lot cheaper. And actually, that was one of my inspirations for this town and what we've done with our blog back in the day and what we do with Bearded Monk now was Fort Collins. The idea that people are leaving Denver on a weekend to go spend the day touring breweries and not going out and just slamming a bunch back and getting irresponsible, but going up there and enjoying something for the flavor, eating a good meal and having a good drink. It just happened to be a really nice beer.
Yeah.
I think we can see more of that in Denton, and we're starting to, for sure, in the past couple of years.
It works with what already makes Denton so great. You can come up, find one of the great restaurants, see the art, see the music. It all just incorporates itself. Another reason for people in Dallas to realize that Denton's a lot better and they need to come visit here.
Right? Come on. Yeah, Denton friends. I'm trying to see who on Denton is on this feed too, or in Dallas.
That's
I think I just broke rule number 9.
Nah, you're good. So, Robin, what questions do you have for these guys?
I'm really curious about the name and the logo, Audacity, and then it's a succulent, right, that you have. Are they cactus that you're using?
That's better than what we usually get. It's not 100% correct.
What is it?
It's not 1% correct.
Oh.
We usually get artichoke. They're like, well, I don't understand why there's an artichoke in there.
I didn't think about that.
I was trying to figure out what she's talking about. You're talking about the dot on the eye?
Oh my gosh, that's a hop. Isn't
There.
it?
Now you got it,
No.
Robin. Wait,
Give that girl a beer.
There it is. Right there.
All right. So forget that part of the question.
There we go.
Why Audacity? Why that name? How
This
did
is
that come
just,
about?
it's a name that's been with us with me for a long time. When I was in Colorado and I was going to the breweries and kind of educating myself for professional reasons, and I got involved with a person who was a home brewer, and they're like, "Hey man, you should come over and we'll make some beer." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, you just you can make beer and we'll just go in the kitchen and we'll cook it and then we'll make it." And I was like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
Super skeptical, but if this works, I might be onto something here because I spend a lot of money on beer if I could just make it myself. So I homebrewed with him for the first time. Super simple, basic, a 3-gallon pot on the stove, and we put it into bottles, or we put it into the fermenter. I came back, 2 weeks later, and it had bubbled over and done its thing, and we put it into bottles, and we capped it, and he sends a couple cases home with me, and he's like, "Okay, well, keep these for about 2 weeks. Don't touch them, and then put them in the fridge, and they'll be ready to go." So they're sitting in the corner for a couple weeks, and I put them in the fridge, and we just happened to be having this party this weekend, right? And all these people come over, and I'm like, "Oh man, I got this beer. Like I have beer that I made, but I don't know, I don't know." So I sneak off into the kitchen. I open one of the bottles. I pour a little sample, and I drink it. And I'm like, "What? This is really good." And so I'm super proud, I'm already kind of half tipsy, and I run out there. I'm like, "Hey guys, I got beer. I made beer. I'm a brewer. I made beer." And so we go through this beer, and it's a hit, and everybody loves it. And we had a great time. And from the next time, it was all gone that day. And if you've ever I don't know about you guys, but I like to think that everybody in the world, if you go to a party and then all of a sudden you're the center of attention and everybody likes you and you did something good, you're like, "Yeah, I'm going to do that at the next party."
I'm gonna do it
And then
again.
again, and then again. So immediately I wanted to go homebrew again. So I go homebrew, and then the guy's like, "Okay, what do you want to make this time?" I was like, "I want the exact same beer." That was perfect. The chicks liked me that night, so don't change anything. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we brew again. We brew the same beer. all the same stuff. Go back in 2 weeks. It's fermented out. We put it in the bottles. I bring it home. I let it carbonate for 2 weeks. Put it in the fridge, and then there's another party. And I'm super confident this time, overconfident. I don't pour myself a little sample. I don't need to because I know it's awesome, right? And hey guys, I got beer, and everybody comes in. I'm pouring samples, and everybody's drinking, and I'm looking at these disappointed looks on their face. Like, this is not as cool of a party as was last time, right? And I take a drink of the beer, and it's not very good. And I don't know, whatever had happened, and it was infected or whatever, a home brewer does on try number 2 to mess it up.
The ego tainted
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And I was, right. And from then, that was defeat, right? And I had the high and I had the low, and I had to get back to the high. So that was the hook. The hook was set for me, and I had to homebrew. And so I got intense, and it was borderline obsession. Every Saturday, I was brewing in my garage, no matter what, no matter how many hundreds of bottles of beer I already had. I needed another batch. And so I started as an outlet to get rid of all this beer because I couldn't drink it fast enough. I would take it to places and give it to people. And, anytime, my friends who all worked at a bar were having a party at somebody's house, I would bring over a keg or two or cases of bottles. And so one time I went to this party, and there was this sign on the wall, and it said, tonight serving Audacity beer. I was like, oh, is that a new, what's going on? Is that a new brewery here in Fort Collins? And like, no, bro, that's yours. That's your beer. That's what we're calling it. And somebody just made this up. I don't even know. So I don't know where it came from.
Awesome,
but somebody
yeah.
called it Audacity. I was like, why do you call that? I'm like, because you put anything in your beer. It's crazy. I made a peanut butter and jelly beer one time. And it was delicious.
Yeah.
So they called it Audacity, and they just had this sign. I was like, what is Audacity? And like, that's you. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
I can dig it.
And then when
Nice.
we got together, and it just kind of stuck, and it still sticks.
Love it.
Still there, man. I'm looking around the room.
What a
like,
story.
sticks on hats, sticks on cans,
Sticks
sticks on
everywhere.
hoodies.
And then the cactus artichoke thing, I don't know what that's all about. I have to talk to Doug on that.
We could probably put cactus in the beer. Everyone asks, oh, you're going to put the artichoke in the beer. I don't think that's going to work out too well. Cactus I can make work, though. We can do that for sure.
Because they're doing cactus, like tequilas or vodkas or whatever with cactus now.
I was just thinking of that aloe vera coming down, making it very
Yeah.
soothing, you
There
know.
you go. I like it.
Next time
Very
you get
cool.
sick and you have a sore throat, just drink a cactus beer.
Just an aloe vera beer.
There you go.
Anyways,
Speaking of, are we allowed to
I asked her for one earlier.
we can pass them out as soon as the broadcast is over.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah.
that leads me to my next question, though. What do you guys have coming up next? I know we always got new beers coming up. There's always events happening at the brew house. What's coming down the pipe?
Okay, so when you learn about craft breweries, we're not the first one. We're not the only one. There's over 4,000 of these in the country. So there's got to be something that differentiates you.
Right.
And for us, it's being inspired by Denton. We're here. We love this town. Love everything about it. And so along with our main lineup of beer, we have this kind of small subset called the Little D series.
Cool.
And the point of this is to collaborate and be inspired by something amazing here in Denton. And we've done it with my favorite barbecue restaurant. We've done it with nonprofits. And this time we got to do it with my favorite local band called the Boombox, right?
Yeah.
And that worked out great. And so I think we're going to release that on Wednesday at Audacity. And then is it Sunday at Bearded Monk?
Yeah. Saturday
I'm not the guy in
LSA,
charge of
Sunday at
dates.
Bearded Monk.
Yeah. But yeah, those guys came in and we tasted a bunch of beers and we talked about what they love and what we're trying to do. Obviously, their names, the Boombox, had to be a Bach, so it's going to be a release of the Boombox.
And they came and made it too. And
Whoa.
so, I don't know.
I saw
They
some
came and
pictures
drank a
when,
lot of beer that morning.
What's the lead singer's name? The super cool
AD?
guy with the,
Right.
always wearing sunglasses.
Right,
It's
right.
super cool. Well, so I come into the brewery one morning, and the brew house is kind of at the back. You got to walk around the tanks and stuff. And I always, when I need to find Doug. He's in there somewhere. I just don't know where. So I give him the caw, and he knows to come out and talk to me. And I give the caw, and nobody comes out. But I can hear somebody's in there working. I'm like, he must be wearing headphones. I don't know. He's not going to talk to me. So I didn't even know they were there. The band was there. And I guess Doug and all the other guys were out on the patio drinking. But I walk around to the back, and I kind of stick my head around to see the brew house. And there's the lead singer of the Boombox raking grain out of the mash tun. I think I drank too much last night. He was just worried. He looks up. What's up, bro? back to work. Right? And I'm like, okay, man, okay. I just turned around and walked away. But yeah, they were there. They were there early in the morning and brewed the beer with Doug, and we're excited. So Wednesday at the tap room, I think we're gonna probably put it on, 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Wednesday is half price beer day at the tap room for our loyalty program customers, which is free to do. You just come in and download an app, and your beer's half price. And then the boombox are going to be out there hanging out and just kind of drinking some beers with people and talking, and then they're going to go on stage at 8 out on the stage on the patio.
Awesome.
And then it's a 3-day event. So Wednesday night at the tap room, and then Saturday night at LSA, and Sunday night at Ben's place.
Yeah, it should be a good concert series.
It's gonna be awesome.
A beer and a concert.
They're actually those 3 concerts. They're recording for a live album also.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and that could be awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
You can't get too much of the boombox. You need to come out for all 3. Like, if you haven't seen them, it's an amazing show.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you come to Wednesday night and they're playing and you scream, "I love Audacity," it might actually be on.
You can't see the crowd. Come on.
Yeah. No, but you could hear.
And that'll be on Wednesday.
That's gonna be on Wednesday, and then the kind of coincides, but the winter seasonal is coming out also, and it's getting overshadowed a little bit by the boombox because there's so much going into the Little D series, but the winter seasonal is going to be phenomenal. It's a recipe that we've worked on before in the past, and it's delicious. Winter Wonderland, it'll be out in a week and a half.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Nice.
Great. And if somebody's listening to all this and they're going, okay, I got to find the brew house. It is located at?
It's at 1012 Shady Oaks. It's if you go down Dallas Drive until you get to Teasley and take a left, and there's a roundabout. And as soon as you come off that roundabout, there's this big neon green warehouse with a giant 55,000-pound grain silo sitting out. That's it. When you see that,
Perfect.
You're there.
Love it. And website, Facebook, all that stuff?
All that stuff, everything's super easy to find. AudacityBrewhouse.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all kinds of stuff. I'm not as social media adequate as this guy. He is the king. But lots of stuff coming out. Anytime we have events, we have concerts, we're always posting that. And the unique thing about, and it's another thing that I really love about our industry is we have it really good because we're not confined the way, these guys, they have their spot. And if you come to your place, come to his place and buy his stuff, and it puts him in a difficult position to, oh yeah, but so-and-so is having something awesome, and they're having something awesome, and they're also doing something awesome. You should go check them all out. He needs you to stay at his place, and that's his business.
I do that all the time.
We are
Yeah,
so
I didn't say you were good at that business.
He does. He really
We're
does.
so lucky.
Didn't say I was good at it.
We're so lucky because Ben's place is our place, and LSA is our place, and Harvest House is our place, and we can, we get to send things out, and that's we have it better than these guys, unfortunately, for them. But it's just promoting the whole time, because the more people go out, I don't care where you go out. I don't care what you do. Go spend money at local businesses, and if you're having a beer there, odds are mine is going to be available. Maybe that's not the one you pick that night, but that's a choice.
Yeah.
And so we like to do these events where it's not just a concert at the tap room. It's a concert series that weekend. Let's start at the tap room, but then let's go to some of our other places because, like I said, Bearded Monk is our place too, and East Side is our place too.
I love that. Very cool. And that's one of the things I've always loved. The beer is fantastic, the tap room's fantastic, and all of that. But the thing that's always stuck out to me so much is how much you guys love Denton, how much you give back to Denton. One night it's a concert at Audacity, the next night it's a charity event. You guys are always looking for opportunities, actively looking for opportunities to pour back into the community. And I just love that about you guys.
I have every intention of spending the rest of my life here. So the more people like Ben Easley and Doug Smith and Jake Laughlin and Ben Watson doing great things to make this town better, the better it makes the rest of my life.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good place to end because we'd just be
That got
going
really
downhill from
squishy.
there.
That got really squishy. Right on, man.
All right. Well, speaking of, let's go ahead and play the boombox to exit us out of here. Thank you guys again for coming by for Free Beer Fridays with Audacity Brew House. Make sure you check them out for the release of the boombox on Wednesday. You have our permission to be late to work on Thursday.
Yes.
You can then go to LSA on Saturday and then the Bearded Monk on Sunday, correct?
There you go.
And so, again, tonight, come down to the Welcome Center. You can see these guys. After that, go out to the Bearded Monk.
We'll
And
party it up.
You can get yourself a full glass of Audacity. And
cans.
And cans.
Yeah.
Hey, hey. It's going to be a good time. Again, this is the Boombox with their song In the
These
Morning.
guys are all going to Bearded Monk for sure. Look at
Right there.
Yeah.
I look up, I look down, till my hands still ain't